The National Democratic Congress is warning it will fiercely retaliate attacks if the NPP attacks persist, even after the handover of power on January 7.
Anybody who tries it after 7 Januaries will not have it easy with the NDC at all.
This follows a series of clashes between the NDC and NPP in the aftermath of the December polls. This certainly comes in bad taste, raising signals of a very tense atmosphere if the situation is not handled carefully. So what has the political parties plus the police done so far to curb this situation? We'll be finding answers shortly and also gauge the mood of some security analysts on the matter. This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Now, you'll recall a sequence of clashes between the NDC and NPP following the declaration of election results in the December polls, including 2 incidents in Kofi and Upper Denchira, which led to the death of 1 person and several others injured. Now, Chairman of the NDC, Kofi Portuphy, today expressed disgust at the violent reactions of supporters of the NPP following their victory in the 2016 elections. At a press conference in Accra, however, on Thursday, Mr. Portuphy listed attacks against government and party officials since December 9 and is warning of massive reprisal if the NPP does not call its supporters to order. We can listen to him now.
The NPP have been officially declared winners of the elections. And yet, we are recording very worrying cases of violence by their supporters and activists across the entire country. As I speak to you now, the following incidents have been recorded in various parts of the country. An attack on Wofake, a popular actor who featured in most of NDC's campaign adverts. Attack and killing of NDC supporter Adunkwanofin, the stabbing of an NDC youth activist at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, attacks on party supporters at Chebi in the Eastern region and in different parts of the Ashanti and Northern regions. The burning of toll booths in Fiapre in the Brong-Ahafo region and the seizure of toll tickets and monies. Attack on the NDC communication officer in Sunyani West, who was forced out of his office at the National Health Insurance Secretariat. Illegally taking over the tourist center at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. Forceful takeover of the jobs of caterers of school feeding programs perceived to be NDC supporters. The destruction of the offices of the municipal chief executive at Ejura in Ashanti region. Harassing, severely beating, and injuring many NDC supporters on our university campuses and other tertiary institutions and in our communities. We have many of them displaced from the schools that we have had to look for accommodation for. Many of them have been forced out of Kumasi. They are here in Accra, and we are taking care of them in hotels. Besieging and looting the warehouses and stores of NADMO in Tamale by hoodlums of the NPP. Raiding the head office of NADMO in Accra, chasing out the acting national coordinator, Brigadier Zanziri, and staff of NADMO at their offices, and subjecting the Brigadier General to searches by hoodlums. Barricading the offices of the YEA program headquarters in Accra, violent attacks on the homes of several members of the NDC, including the West Legon residence of the national chairman of the NDC, myself, by demonstrators who were carrying and displaying pictures of Nanado and the MP for that constituency, Anabo Ajaku. Cordoning off of the homes of individual artists and performers and some media personnel who are perceived as sympathizers of the NDC and preventing them from carrying out their normal duties. shameful attack on Ms. Bell at midnight by suspected members of the MPP carrying assault rifles and a video camera, and demanding that she apologize to Nana Addo for comments during the campaign. This dehumanizing experience has forced Ms. Bell to vacate her private residence and seek refuge elsewhere. Shameful attacks on the contractors and workers at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, popularly known as Ghana Dubai, has brought work to a standstill there. The pity of it all is the destruction of the colorful lights from the water fountain that flows to the admiration of all. And almost every NDC member cannot move peacefully now with our paraphernalia on our car. The security agencies are doing well for all intents and purposes to bring peace to bear on our society. That does not prevent us from cataloging and bringing to the attention of Ghanaians and the international community that these are criminal acts and that they must be stopped. We need the media to support this call. And that's why we brought you here.
The churches, religious.
We need the churches. We need civil society. We need chiefs. We need even the pretenders to know today that an end must come to this violence. That if it happened in Sierra Leone, if it happened in Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, it can happen in Ghana. Unless we all make some concerted effort. Who said all die be die?
Who said it?
Who called on the people in the MPP to pick Wamafu?
Thank you.
Is it NDC?
Power at all costs.
No, I mean, let's be serious, my friend. I've listed acts of violence, brigadiering, and killing. And you say that we are stage managing it. Respect us a little.
Thank you.
And the security agencies have been doing very well to bring peace to bear on this activity. But we want to say in very clear, unequivocal terms that anybody who tries it after 7th January will not have it easy with the NDC at all.
This is today's big story. We've been talking about warnings by the NDC to retaliate with attacks if the NPP does not stop attacking its supporters. Let's do some analysis now. Brigadier General Emmanuel Kotia, he is the Deputy Commandant at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. Good evening to you. Thanks for your time. How do you receive news of alleged attacks by NPP supporters on NDC supporters, and how does that come across to you?
Good evening to your viewers. First of all, let me mention that election-related conflict is an emerging security issue in Africa.
Right.
First of all, on the election-related security conflict, we have issues related to pre-election. So when issues that come up before the election, like violence or suspected attacks or suspected threats around, that constitutes pre-election security. Now in Ghana, we've realized that there were some activities that did not culminate into heighten the conflict so far as the pre-election was concerned. So it went on well because of the alertness of the security agencies. Then we have, during elections, that is conflict-related conflict during the elections. Now, fortunately for us, the election went on smoothly. There were no major incidents. The security agencies were up and doing so far as preventing such incidents were concerned. But one emerging issue that has come up in Africa, in other countries, and especially the situation in Kenya and La Cote d'Ivoire, is post-election conflict or post-election security. Now, this is what we need to psychologically tune our mind to and realize that these are issues that can come up. And if we do not take major steps to address them, can lead to a blown up conflict in our country. So it is important for various stakeholders, various leaders, being religious leaders, traditional rulers, to try as much as possible to help intervene and educate the citizenry from preventing. Otherwise, when we allow it to continue, it will engulf the whole country and it will lead to a serious situation in the country.
There are many who feel the political parties are behind these attacks, hence the little efforts being made to arrest the situation. There are others who also believe that the police has failed in dealing with the situation. Whose shoulders should we rest the blame?
Whether it is the political parties or the security agencies, that might not be the issue now. The consciousness of all Ghanaians or the citizens should be that we should be aware that whether it is pocket of attacks, whether it is a group attacks, and whether the attacks are happening in the hinterlands or in the urban areas or in houses, it is a threat to the security of the nation. So it behoves on everybody, and especially the security agencies, to hold everybody accountable. I've heard a number of political parties appealing to their supporters to stop this violence, and that is a right way to move. Now, these directives or these appeals might not go down to the supporters at the local level or the supporters who are very enraged to carry out this violence. It is important that we continue the education. It's important that the various political parties go down to the grassroots to be able to advise and educate their supporters. The euphoria comes out of excitement. The euphoria comes out of jubilancy. But then the issue is that it is important for us to understand that we need to restrain it. Those carrying out this do not know the long-term effects of what they are doing that can harm that will harm the country. Now, it is important to also understand that there are a lot of law-abiding citizens who are going about their normal duties, innocent citizens who can easily be affected by these attacks or conflicts that is happening. Now, our main task now is to ensure, the task of Ghanaians is to ensure that this does not blow up, and it should not be left only to the security agency. It is the responsibility, it's a collective responsibility of everybody. Various associations, the Muslim Association, so the Muslim groups in the country, the Christian Council, the Peace Council, local assemblies, and what have you. Various youth groups, leaders should be able to come together. It should not be left in the hands of only the political parties. But this is a big issue, because if we are not able to stop this, it can lead to a very disastrous moment. And it is important for us to take this serious so that, like I mentioned earlier on, we've seen it blown up in Kenya as a post-election issue. We've seen it blown up in Côte d'Ivoire and other countries. It is important for us to keep on educating the youth, we should shift blaming various groups or parties and rather address the issue of violence within this context.
Well, many thanks to you. Brigadier General Nuno is the Deputy Commandant at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. Let me also state that the chairman of the NDC is also warning party supporters to make sure they don't listen to some advice from the NPP, so they fight among themselves. Let's listen to the chairman warning party supporters. That soundbite for you've been talking about some warning by the NDC. Okay, so I'm told we have the soundbite. Let's listen to Kofi Portuphy once again.
The security agencies are doing well for all intents and purposes to bring peace to bear on our society. That does not prevent us from cataloging and bringing to the attention of Ghanaians and the international community that these are criminal acts and that they must be stopped. We need the media to support this call. And that's why we brought you here.
The churches, religious.
We need the churches. We need civil society. We need chiefs. We need even the pretenders to know today that an end must come to this violence. That if it happened in Sierra Leone, if it happened in Liberia, Côte d'Ivoire, it can happen in Ghana. Unless we all make some concerted effort. Who said all die be die?
Who said it
Who
was power?
called on the people in the MPP to pick Wamafu?
Thank you.
Is it NDC?
Power at all costs.
No, I mean, let's be serious, my friend. I've listed acts of violence, brigadiering, and killing. And you say that we are stage managing it. Respect us a little.
Thank you.
And the security agencies have been doing very well to bring peace to bear on this activity. But we want to say in very clear, unequivocal terms that anybody who tries it after 7th January will not have it easy with the NDC at all. Those of them who are going on the radio stations or are being lured by some stations to make statements that are not in keeping with the norms of our party should desist from doing it. It's let's meet at our branches, our constituencies, regions, and national, and resolve our problems. The leadership of the party abhors individuals going onto stations and making all kinds of remarks. I want to warn that nobody must go on the radio station and attack each other, and that we should use our own systems, constitutionally by our party, to seek redress.
Defeat is painful.
And that we must begin to consider that in the next 4 years, NDC must come back to power.
This is today's big story. I must say we're having a bit of challenges with our phone lines, but right now, Mrs. Lavinia Owusu is Deputy Director of the West Africa Network for Peace Building, WANEP, and she joins in the conversation. Good evening to you. We appreciate your time on today's big story. Now, your quick impression about the clashes between the two major political parties, I'm talking about the NDC and the NPP, in the aftermath of the December polls.
I think, let me first of all say that, just as a Ghanaian, it's quite shameful that NPP is on, in terms of our democratic processes, that to still have such situations. This is obviously a reflection of some of the tensions that existed before we went to the polls. And it's unfortunate that it continues. I think these are clearly acts of, lawlessness, indiscipline, and activity. And I think it's important that we call them as such. It's obviously been established that some of these some political parties or one political party, but nevertheless, they remain as lawlessness and indiscipline and of impunity. And I think we need to call on the law and the upholders of the law, of implementing the law, in this case the police, to do their job. And I think they have been doing quite well, and we would urge them to continue on that path.
How would you analyze the current situation we find ourselves to the extent that leadership of the NDC is warning of fiercely retaliating attacks on their supporters by the NPP supporters? How did we get here?
Well, the details, I probably like to understand. I think in terms of most of what is being alleged, I think both political parties, and we will need to recognize them for that, have issued strong statements, condemning the act and, calling on the relevant party supporters to desist from such acts. This is good, but I think we need to look going beyond, the rhetoric, calling on partisans to stop this, to actually begin to look at how we can build a different approach, how we can send sustain the democratic processes and the kinds of issues that are beginning to emerge in our democratic process. I think the need for, but how do we look at helping the parties to put in place some kind of a system that allows those at the base to appreciate some of the principles of nonviolence.
Okay, so what would you recommend briefly?
I think in the short term, we will recommend that the party leadership continues to make the calls and also to use the various decentralized structures that exist within the party, and then also working with decentralized structures of the National Peace Council, for instance, to ensure that we begin to create some space for not just sensitization, but also for some kind of dialogue to occur. And also, secondly, that the police continue to do its work and follow on the news and ensure that those that are perpetrating acts are brought to book according to the law. But I think in the longer term, look at how we can get the parties to institute political grassroots transformation programs, that raise the standard and quality of the democratic culture of their partisans.
Well,
because at the top, we've got the leaders saying we accept, whatever has come out of the elections, and we recognize that what's going on. But how do the parties actually also think to acquire skills that help them, to not to engage in these illegitimate acts and to the we are trying to grab toilets and tools. I think it's rather shameful, and we need to look at the medium to long term approaches of addressing within the legal framework, whereas the opponents help us to begin to look at ways of holding accountable supporters that engage in such acts.
Well, point well made. Many thanks for your time. Lavinia Owusu is the Deputy Director at WANEP. I must also apologize for the break in audio. We've been having challenges with our phone lines, and also state that we tried reaching Superintendent Sifas Arthur, who promised to speak to us earlier, but is not picking up his call. Wanted to get some updates from the Ghana Police Service. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. This is today's big story. Have a great evening.